Hey guys, so I wanted to quickly record this before I forgot about it because what time is it? I don't even know. It's, I don't know, early in the morning. I had the craziest dream last night and I wanted to share it with you guys because I was telling my husband about it and he was like, wow, I didn't even realize as I started talking about it how it kind of sounds like Judgment Day, I guess. I don't really know, but I've never had a dream like this before, and I've never I don't know, I've never had a dream where like God's spoken to me like this, or like I've never had a dream like this. It was crazy. So I can remember it as, I was just trying to explain it, and it's going to be in pieces obviously because that's the kind of the way dreams are, but like this massive place with all these kind of rooms, and imagine, it's going to sound crazy, but imagine a college or like halls or like an airport, or imagine all of this kind of like combined into one. So there were these great big rooms, these huge rooms, and you knew that one of them was hell, and you knew that one of them was heaven, and you knew that one of them was like judgment, I guess you could say, like a place that decides. And there were two parts of the dream that were running along simultaneously, but the main part of the dream was this place, and you were going through checkpoints, kind of like airport security and like customs, and you had to have all these important documents that they were identifying you by. So like for me, I remember both of my passports and some kind of like security sheet, I don't know what it was, and the people were kind of just observing them. They take your documents and they're like, okay, this is who you are, and then you go on to like the next point, kind of like the next checkpoint or whatever, I don't know. And there was this place that they were saying that you were going to go to where you were going to explode, and I was like, what? I don't want to go to a place where I want to explode. But then I got kind of closer down into what looked like an airport, and I was standing with a man talking to him about before I went into this next place. And it was kind of like all I could see were these arrows. There were these great big arrows just that was being shown to me. They were white arrows, and they would come and point to certain areas of you and your physical body, and they would fix them, except they weren't, but it was kind of like a metaphor for deeper things inside of you rather than like physical, even though it was being shown as physical. So they would come in and like they would fix pieces of you that needed healing. So, you know, old wounds. And I remember getting the information of like things about you that needed healing, like just parts of you that weren't well. It's the only kind of way I could kind of fix it, you know, the imperfections that we have to work on ourselves in life. And I remember getting to this one point where this woman grabbed my stuff, my paperwork, and she was kind of like taken aback. She was like, you don't have anything to worry about. And she didn't say specifically, but she gave me the feeling, because you know how in dreams, like, you get the meaning, but there's no words. So she was kind of like, you have a purpose, like, it's your special kind of thing. Not in a way that, oh, you're special, like, you're better, but she's like, you have a specific purpose. You don't have to worry about where you're going. And this whole place felt like you were basically going from checkpoint to checkpoint to checkpoint to that next place. It was like a place of processing. Part of it was like an airport. I remember conveyor belts. And at one point I was even waiting for bags, like suitcases of mine. And you were going to this next place that you knew was right there, that you knew existed. And there were so many people there. It was like crazy people everywhere, people passing by, people going to where they were trying to get to where they were going to. And all the while you knew that these three places, these three rooms, even though they weren't rooms, existed. And one was hell, and one was heaven, and one was a place that is the decider of where you go. And there were people there who were like, I'm not going to be judged. They were kind of like in denial about the process of where we all were, and that there was a possibility that hell existed, and we all knew it was right there. You couldn't see it, and you couldn't even see the door, but you knew, okay, over on this side, this is where this is, and you don't want to go there. And then over on this side, this is what this is. And obviously, you know, that's where you want to go, but it wasn't like in too much detail about each one. And these people were like in denial that these places were there at all, and they were going to go into judgment, and you knew that they were going to have this attitude about this, and you knew where they were going to go. And like, which I remember trying to tell them, like, this is where we are, this is what's happening. And like, they wouldn't comprehend it, they wouldn't admit it, they didn't want to know. And you knew that they were going to end up in hell. You knew that was what they were going to go, because that was the lack of belief of where they even were. So that was kind of the place that they would end up, because you knew they weren't admitting. It was like so much deeper than that. It was like, you knew they weren't admitting things about their life, or things that they were even imperfect, that they even needed to change, that they were like so in denial. It was crazy, and you felt kind of sad for them, because they couldn't wake up, like they couldn't realize where they actually were right there. And it was inevitable. It was happening to everybody. It was like that place. I just can think of it as like a place of processing. It was just that place before that next place. And no one there wasn't a ton of fear. It was just like unknown. People didn't know where they were going to go. But I remember at each checkpoint being reassured by people like, I think you're going to be okay. I don't think you have anything to worry about. I think you're going to be okay. And of course, I woke up, so I don't, that was kind of it. But as I was explaining this to my husband, he was like, well, that sounds like Judgment Day. I was like, really? You think? He's like, well, think about it, like an airport and security and having to have all your documents, and these people at these checkpoints, they would look at your documents that would identify you and ask you questions, but they could see who you were. So the documents were more for identification, but that they didn't really mean anything beyond that. It's like, okay, next person, okay, this is who you are. And they would determine, okay, the next place you're going to go to is here, and then the next place you're going to go to is here. And it was just like this processing before you got to the big place that kind of like decided, okay, you're going to go here or you're going to go over here. And one place was good and one place wasn't good. And I've never had a dream like that before, and I don't know what the meaning of it is. It's very rare that I even remember my dreams, but I remember everything was white. The floor was white. It was very almost clinical in a sense. And you kind of like, you had fear in a way that was like, you just didn't know the outcome. Not in a way that was like, there was terrifying things going on around you. It was like, okay, this is happening, but I don't know where I'm going to go, And I don't know what that means, but I just wanted to share that in case somebody has like, I don't know, more thought or maybe a similar experience to it. But I'm sure I'll find out soon what the meaning of it is. But for me, I get the fact that it was like a place of processing. Like we really, all that I felt like all that is the foundation of what is biblical exists. It just doesn't look like the way we think that it might look. And I think that like everybody's experiences are shaped upon their views of that throughout their life, but ultimately the outcome is the same. Like we're still going to go through that process. We still have to go through that process. when we pass on. And the whole funny thing about it, well, not funny thing about it, but the whole thing about it was that everybody on earth was there. It wasn't like, oh, you know, I had died and I was in this place. It was, we were all still living. Everyone was still alive there. But we all had to go through this process all of a sudden. Like, everybody was like put there. And I think it was all like kind of a scramble because people weren't expecting it. They weren't expecting suddenly to be in this place that they were in, that this was just happening and they had no control over it. And as I think, well, that's when my husband was like, well, it was like Judgment Day, because like it just happens, you know. So anyways, I just wanted to share that. If I get any more revelation on what that means, I will definitely make another video. And I'm sorry for the just bluntness of this video, but I'm still in my pajamas. I just wanted to get it recorded before I forgot. So hope you all have an amazing day.